When a married woman suddenly declares, "I've got a male friend now, deal with it," she isn't making an announcement. She's drawing a battle line. And my wife Emily didn't just cross that line. She stomped on it with a smile. Started small the way these things always do. Tiny shifts. Subtle changes. Things only a husband who truly pays attention would notice. Late-night laughter from her phone. Notification she would flip face down the moment I walked into the room. A new password on her lock screen. One she claimed she set by accident. But the real moment things snapped wasn't when she hit her phone. It was when she stopped hiding her attitude. That evening, she came home dressed nicer than usual. Hair curled, lipstick red, perfume stronger than anything she wore for me. I was sitting at the kitchen table sorting bills when she walked in, tossed her purse on the counter and casually said, "I'm heading out tomorrow. Mark and I are grabbing coffee." "Mark?" I repeated. She smirked like she was waiting for me to react. "Yeah, my friend. My male friend. You don't have to like it. You just have to deal with it." The coldness in her voice hit harder than the words themselves. It wasn't what she said, it was what she meant. She wasn't informing me. She was provoking me, testing me, seeing how far she could push before I broke. I stared at her, trying to understand what version of our marriage existed in her mind. One where I quietly watched her drift into another man's orbit while she dared me to object. She grabbed a bottle of water, leaned her hip against the counter and added, "Don't start with your jealous husband nonsense. It's just friendship. You'll get used to it." That did it. The tone, the entitlement, the dismissiveness of everything we'd built. That was the moment something inside me switched from hurt to clarity. She wanted me to deal with it? Fine. I would. I stood up slowly, walked past her without a word, and headed straight to our bedroom. She rolled her eyes, thinking I was sulking. She had no idea what was coming, because the first thing I reached for was her suitcase. I opened the closet and started pulling out her clothes. Slowly, methodically, as if each piece I folded was a silent declaration. Her casual smirk faded the moment she saw my hands moving with deliberate purpose. "What are you doing?" she asked, trying to sound casual, but the sharp edge in her voice betrayed panic. "I'm packing," I said, keeping my voice calm, almost soothing. "Since you've made it clear you have priorities outside this marriage, I figured it's time we redefine what home means." Her eyes widened, and for the first time in weeks, I saw uncertainty flicker across her face. She tried to interrupt. "Daniel, wait, this is ridiculous. I'm just seeing a friend." I didn't stop. I continued folding shirts, rolling jeans, slipping shoes into the suitcase. Every motion was deliberate, slow, giving her the space to grasp the reality I was building around her. This wasn't about anger. It wasn't about revenge. It was about clarity. About letting her face the consequences of a choice she had made so lightly. "You're really doing this?" she asked, voice trembling now. "Yes," I said, setting her favorite scarf neatly on top. "You wanted me to deal with it, didn't you? I'm dealing. But we're doing it my way." She moved closer, attempting to touch my arm. "Daniel, please, you don't understand. He's just a friend. You're overreacting." I shook my head. "No, Emily. You understand perfectly. This is what happens when words are meant to test boundaries instead of preserve respect. I'm not reacting out of anger. I'm acting out of reality. You drew the line. Now I'm walking along it." Her breathing became faster, more uneven. The casual, teasing Emily I had lived with for years was gone. She was facing the weight of her own choices. The same choices she thought would intimidate me, silence me, or make me beg for forgiveness, were now making her rethink everything. I zipped the suitcase, placed it by the door, and looked at her steadily. "Pack whatever else you need. You leave tomorrow morning." "Don't worry, I'll have a cab ready." She staggered back, unable to form a coherent reply. For the first time, she saw the consequences she had ignored, the power she had underestimated. And in that moment I realized, confrontation doesn't always need shouting. Sometimes it's quiet, calculated, unavoidable. The night passed in an uneasy silence. Emily stayed in the living room, sitting stiffly on the couch, staring at her phone as if scrolling could erase the truth. I didn't speak. I didn't approach. I simply moved around the house, calm, collected, letting the tension settle like a heavy fog she couldn't escape. Morning came. I heard the rustle of her suitcase being zipped, the soft shuffle of feet as she moved toward the door. She stopped halfway, turned to face me, eyes glossy with a mix of fear, shame, and regret. Daniel. I raised a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. No. There's nothing left to say, I said. Actions have consequences. You set the rules. Now you live with them. She swallowed hard, a lump forming in her throat. I could see her mind racing, trying to figure a way out, a justification, any loophole. But I had already seen everything I needed. Her male friend. The late-night texts, the whispers and secrecy. I had traced it all. And the moment she realized I wasn't just going to confront her with words, but had taken control in silence, her posture broke. I walked past her to the door, opened it, and gestured toward the cab waiting outside. Her suitcase rolled along the floor with a soft thud, each inch echoing the finality of what had come to pass. She glanced back once, eyes searching mine for a reaction. Anger, begging, pleading. I gave her none. Just calm, unwavering clarity. As she stepped outside, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. Relief because I had reclaimed control over my life, and emptiness because someone I had loved so deeply had betrayed that love. But the emptiness was short-lived. I realized that standing firm, enforcing boundaries, and letting the consequences play out was the truest form of strength. Later that evening, the house felt lighter. The air was no longer thick with tension or deceit. I poured myself a drink, sat at the table, and allowed myself to reflect. Emily's declaration, "I've got a male friend now, deal with it," had been a challenge. And I had answered it, not with anger, not with rage, but with patience, calculation, and control. Some lessons in marriage, betrayal, and respect are taught in whispers, in the quiet moments between words. And I had learned mine. Boundaries are not suggestions. Trust is not negotiable. And sometimes the best way to deal with betrayal isn't to shout, fight, or argue. It's to act in a way that leaves no doubt, no negotiation, and no future attempts at manipulation. Emily left, but in doing so, she gave me something more valuable than her presence ever had. Clarity, strength, and freedom. And in that freedom I finally breathed easy again.